Very often, my data on Lucre Studio is not in the format I want. For instance, I would like to segment my Facebook ads data by date, but also by week, by month, by year, by day of week, and so on. But my connector doesn't allow it. It doesn't have that field, only has date. Here's how to fix that. Let's say I want to change the second column. The first column has a date, the second column has a date, but I want to transform it into a month. So I will select this table and I will edit with the pencil icon the second column that has a date. So click on edit, change the data type, and instead of date, I will transform it into year month. And I can change the name of this field. Instead of date, year, month, I could call it month. This is super useful because if you are working a different language, you could change the name of the field into Spanish, for instance, or Portuguese. This is super common for our clients and especially for me. Now, the third column, instead of date, I will transform it into, instead of date, it will be a day of week. And here's how you can transform the data format or the date format on your Looker Studio fields. See you in the next lesson. Here is how to change the format of your metrics on your Looker Studio reports. Sometimes, to give more clarity in your reports, you would like to change the format of a metric from a number to a currency. This is the example of amount spent of Meta ads. I would like to display it as currency so it is clear I am talking about money. So I will select this table and I will go to this field. It is amount spent, it is the first field, and I will click on edit by clicking on this pencil icon. Now, the data type, instead of number, will be currency, and I could select across all these currencies and symbols. It is not that this is converting to this particular currency, it is only changing the format of this data. And here is how you can change the format from metric to currency on Google Looker Studio. I will show you two other examples of changing the calculations or the formats of your Looker Studio metrics. I want to express, for instance, my total ad spend by campaign not in absolute numbers but in percentages. To do it, I will select this table and I will select the second column with amount spent. I will edit and I will call this field ad spend in percentage, and the comparison calculation will be instead percent of total. And as you can see, I can express this value also in percentages. The second example is I want to change the CTR from percentages to decimals instead. So for the third column, I would like to change the name. The CTR will be called now only CTR for this column. And for the fourth column, I will call this one CTR but in decimals. Now I will change the format. Instead of number, I will use, instead of percentage, I will use number. And here's how you can change the formats of your metrics and why to do it. I will see you again in the next lesson. You might already know that you can bring images on Looker Studio. With our connectors, you can bring your creative images, your posts, your email snapshots, your photos, your customer profiles, and everything that can be an image, we will bring it in our Google Looker Studio connectors. Now, how images work? Images are simply URLs that contain that image. With this, you can already know how to bring images with a custom connector or from your own data sources. As you can see, this image is actually this URL, and if I click on this URL, I will find this image file. Another way to see this, if I go to edit this add image URL, I will click on edit, I will select the data type, it is URL, and I can change it to image. For instance, if in your data source, in your Google Sheet connection, or any other connector, you have a URL that contain an image, and this is actually an image file, then you can turn it into an image on Google Looker Studio. A very useful function or aggregation on Google Looker Studio is count and count distinct. I will show you how it works. I am seeing a time series where every day I am seeing how many posts are being published by three brands, Nike, Puma, and Adidas. By the way, we have a connector that is called Instagram Comparators that lets you monitor any Instagram business account so you can see the total social activity. I will go back to the tutorial. So let's say I don't have a metric for the number of posts, or I want a metric for the number of pages or number of campaigns, but we don't have a metric for that. We need to count that number. So I will show you how it works. For the first metric, I am counting the total posts, and the way I do it is that I simply select a dimension like media ID, and I count the total number of unique IDs. This is how it is aggregated. Another way to calculate discount or discount distinct is with a formula. I will show you. I will use a function that is called count distinct media ID. I am counting as well the total number of media IDs in a given date range. And here's how you can use count and count distinct to analyze your marketing data.